David Gibbons is the managing principal at Korn Ferry and a recent speaker at a Strategic Capability Network event in Toronto. He sat down with Canadian HR Reporter TV to talk to us about why succession planning isn't just about the CEO. What are some of the major roadblocks to effective succession planning?
Yeah, I guess the biggest roadblock that we see in terms of succession planning, particularly at the CEO level, is that it's thought of when an event occurs. So a CEO announces that they're going to be leaving in a year, or that there's just a sudden departure. Not having thought about it in advance, essentially when that first CEO moved into the role, about how a successful succession management process would be put in place to ensure that a candidate pool is identified so that people are developed if we want internal candidates on the way in. So really thinking of it as a process as opposed to a replacement planning event, that's one of the biggest roadblocks that we see is executives and boards not getting their heads around that.
What's the difference between replacement planning and succession management?
So what we'd like to see organizations move to is succession management. Replacement planning is essentially just identifying who your replacement is going to be. So if I'm the CEO and I've articulated to perhaps the board or the executive committee that I've identified an individual to replace me, that's replacement planning. What the problem with that is that doesn't provide a rigorous approach to understanding what type of CEO needs to actually be put in place into the future. So there's no alignment between where the business is going and what that role looks like. You've just articulated there's one person that's going to fit that. And also you haven't created a pool of talent that could potentially take not just a CEO role, but roles cascading down into the organization. And without that talent pool, you're at great risk. If you got one person, maybe they find a different exciting role that they want to move to, or maybe they get hit by a bus or win the lottery. You're at great risk when you're doing just replacement planning. What you need is a more rigorous approach to understanding the talent you need, what talent you have, and how you're going to close the gap at multiple levels. That's succession management.
You said high performers are not necessarily also high potentials. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, this dichotomy between high performance and high potential is something that we've really looked for when we're doing any sort of executive role in terms of succession or selection, attraction, or even development. What we find is there are certain individuals who have a preference for depth, for mastery, tend to perform well in certain environments and perform exceptionally when they're there, and then when you move them into broader, more general managerial or executive roles, they tend to suffer because it no longer requires their depth of expertise, but it requires a higher level of learning agility. And that's what we see in terms of potential. Individuals who are able to learn from their past and apply that into new and different environments are the ones that tend to be successful and perform higher at in more broader roles like a CEO role. And so, yes, we want high performers in our organization. We want to keep them happy. We want to keep them motivated to perform in their technical fields, if you will. The high potentials that we're looking for CEO or general managerial executive roles are different. They're the ones with the learning agility. And the two aren't exactly correlated.